Welcome to 13 Skyscrapers Children Should Know. Le Alright, let's start off with our first skyscraper. Now, this isn't actually a skyscraper. It's actually called the Guarantee Building. The only thing that it actually is that it's a building. The Guarantee Building itself isn't much of a skyscraper. In fact, you can hardly call it an office building itself too. But then again, this is also one of the first buildings that went ahead and inspired mankind to go ahead and reach towards the heavens. Do something that has never been done before. Which is pretty awesome if you ask me. It was also one of the first ones where you went ahead and when you're walking, you could go ahead and look outside and see the exact things that you want to see. The suburban areas, those kind of things. You'll be able to see those things here too. The Guarantee Building was a perfect place to do all that at once. Well, at least when it was first built, of course. Nothing else was taller than it. Alright, next, after the Guarantee Building, we have the Woolworth Building. Now, the Woolworth Building is an interesting building too. Woolworth, if you're one of those old people from America, from the early 19th century. I'm not sure if you guys are still alive. You'd be like 100 years old by now. You might remember what the Woolworth stores are like too. The Woolworth stores were actually the first American chain stores, which were basically the same stores that were copied across America. And with that, of course, there was so much more to really talk about. It's like they sold the same items, just in different places. And so, of course, you need some kind of office, headquarters, HQ to go ahead and manage all these chain stores. In New York City of the United States of America, the Woolworth Building was built right there to go ahead and contain literally everything that you could do about the Woolworth chain stores. And, here's the thing. The Woolworth Building itself was amazing, but then we have this behemoth. We have the Tribune Tower. Now, the Tribune Tower is actually a tower that was supposed to go ahead, and it was held by the Chicago Tribune newspaper. They wanted to go ahead and have a new kind of office. Look, there's the logo. And then they went ahead, and in the newspaper, they went ahead and made an advertisement for architects to go ahead and submit drawings and designs of the Tribune Tower, so that whichever one wins, they'd actually build, as long as it was feasible, of course. Now, of course, there were actually a few kind of designs. Like, one of them gave us a column design. This was, of course, impossible to build at the time, but I think the architect was just trying to poke fun at it. And then we also have this. This is actually one of the first modern apartment houses that was ever built, or at least ever designed. However, the interesting thing is that what won was this Gothic-style Chicago Tribune structure too. The Chicago Tribune HQ is still there to this day. And then we have the Chrysler Building. Now, the Chrysler Building is another competition. It's also known as the skyscraper for the modern age. That long spire that you see up there, let me just do it again. That long spire you see up there, that was actually installed right after the building was completed. Now, of course, it was having a design competition between other places. And then, they went ahead. The creator of it decided he wanted to go ahead and make the biggest tower and building, technically. And then, of course, he went ahead and built this gigantic behemoth. Speaking of behemoth, he went ahead and built it. And his rival tower was only 1 meter taller. And then afterwards, he used his trump card. He had already built the spire, and then he only added just a few more to go ahead and make it a bit more taller. Very interesting trump card. But then, less than a year later, the Empire State Building went ahead and overtook the spotlight of being the world's largest building in the world. It went ahead, and it was created during the Great Depression, and it was actually a good thing too. It was a hope for a beacon of light in the Great Depression, because it's the Great Depression. Lots of people lost their jobs, and since a lot of people actually lost their jobs, we went ahead and made this possible. Lots and thousands of people, more than was ever hired for even one building, since the pyramids, were hired to go ahead and help build the Empire State Building. And with that, of course, it's almost more has happened. Here, this Empire State Building afterwards went ahead and gave jobs to thousands of people, if not millions. who would otherwise be unemployed, and included these kind of construction places. It was pretty dangerous. Yeah, this is one of the places where it was dangerous. People had to go up into high heights of an unfinished building, while others went ahead and created the bricks and things. The others started building the skeleton too. And this is just one of the few people who risked their lives to help build the building. And then we go to Moscow. Now, this skyscraper itself is actually pretty ironic. It's actually, by the name that is, the name is called Hotel Ukraina. Ukraina. I misspelled it. Ukraina. And it's just one of the 7 skyscrapers that were actually supposed to be built in Moscow. Well, Stalin himself actually commissioned the building of this, but then by the time all 7 of them were built, Stalin himself was dead. Stalin himself commissioned architects to design it in the kind of way that he liked it too, the ancient Russian kind of style. And then, with that, of course, so much more has happened. With this, there's other things that can happen too. This is a Hotel Ukraina. The other 6 of them was either a government office, one of them was the National University, and then one of them was dedicated to being a hotel. Then we have the Seagram Tower. Now the Seagram, it's actually called the Seagram Building. The Seagram Building was originally designed to go ahead and be built entirely of glass, like this. But then later, he went ahead and built it into a more rectangular box shape for the Seagram Company, who sold very expensive wine. And you might look at first glance that the outside is made entirely of glass, but you can already see that there are actually metal cross-sections in between the glass as well too. And this, on the bottom, seems to be supported by 4 concrete columns, but what's actually making it stay up there is this one big gigantic concrete rod and column at the bottom that's hidden right in the middle of the building. And then we have the Willis Tower. Now the Willis Tower was actually called something that was called breaking out of the box. People wanted something that would break out of the box, and Miles van der Rohe's Seagram Building was so successful that in the 1950s and 60s, many cities wanted to build their own glass box towers. But few of those buildings were actually as beautiful as Miles's work, so by the end, people were trying to break out of the box and design skyscrapers with more interesting and complex shapes. One of them ended up looking like a pyramid. This is called the Trans-America Pyramid. And so much more has actually happened here too. And then we have this, the Petronas Towers, another set of twin towers. These are the twin giants in Malaysia, and in the beginning of the 1970s, skyscrapers building was spreading around the world. Nations wanted the towers to be distinctive, often with unusual shapes and materials, and so a few Asian cities were actually becoming rich enough to even think about building skyscrapers even taller than the highest American towers too. And so Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Southeast Asia in Malaysia, went ahead and started building this behemoth too, and they even have a bridge connecting them there. This is just one of them. This is actually the Marina City. The Petronas Towers were not the first towers to actually have round bodies. These are the Petronas Towers, by the way. There's the bridge I was talking about. Alright, then of course we have one of the tallest tower in the world currently. We have the Burj Khalifa. And the Burj Khalifa itself is... The eye disappeared. Let me fix that real quick. The Burj Khalifa, the thing about this is that this is actually above the desert and into the clouds. This is built in Dubai, and it has changed the most. Dubai has actually changed the most on anywhere else on Earth itself. It turned into an oasis too. There's even literally fountains, and there's a hotel nearby I've actually stayed where there was a swimming pool. If you watch my previous videos, you know I've been to the Burj Khalifa myself, and so much more has happened there too. The Burj Khalifa right here is actually taller, and people realize that if you want it to be steady, well, you have to go ahead and make towers inclining inwards and inwards. And so, of course, there were even these designs that actually made the Burj Khalifa like a mile long, but then they went ahead and made it about like shorter than a mile, like about half the size. But then people later realized that if they got the engineering techniques right, then they could actually make a version of the Burj Khalifa that is a mile high. And then we have London's The Shard. The Shard is actually one of the easiest places to get to in London, as it actually stands next to one of the most important stops inside the train station. And so, of course, people even realize that depending on the area of the sun, the direction of the sun, it will actually go ahead and change color. And with that, of course, it became more interesting itself too. This is another tower, the Gherkin, like the the Gherkin ship, the pickle-shaped Gherkin has actually become a famous symbol of modern London. And then we have this, the One World Trade Center. The One World Trade Center. This is actually the site of where the World Trade Center was. And this is also a place where you can go ahead and visit to go ahead and figure out the World Trade Centers themselves too. Now the original World Trade Centers were actually made in the Japanese style. In fact, they were created and designed by Japanese architects. But then they actually got attacked by the 9/11 planes, and they fell down and toppled. In its place, they built the One World Trade Center. We can go ahead and visit and find and look at the healing and possibly already healed New York. So much has actually happened there too. And then, of course, we have this. This is the Shanghai Tower. The Shanghai Tower itself is like a city within a skyscraper too. Now, the city of Shanghai has also been the faster growing than any other place in the world too. This is a center of China's vast economy, and they themselves wanted to go ahead and build the Shanghai Tower too. If you've ever watched that Chinese movie, it's actually a pretty good science fiction movie called Wandering Earth. I wonder if you guys would even see it. It's in China, but I've seen it. It's pretty great. Then you could see like the remnants of the Shanghai Tower. It's just particularly awesome, and that's just one of the most notable parts, in my opinion, of the movie itself too. Now, actually, I've been here myself, so I was pretty too young, so I don't really remember it that well. And apparently, this part was built right after we climbed it, so that was a shame. And this is just the CCTV headquarters, HQ. I just thought it required a mention. And with that, we end today's 13 skyscrapers to let you know. Maybe go build yourself one in a simulation. Here are a few places where you can. Alright, these are just suggestions, there are probably more. And until then, sign out. Peace. Bye bye. Dun dun dun.